applications, which the iPhone application and the Droid are not currently available to our partners, but they will be. So the cloud backup and mobile backup will be a part of this, will be delivered shortly. We're expecting by the end of the quarter to have a generic branded Droid app available for all of you. You could always opt for a co-branded backup program, in which case using any SOS product is very nice. And I actually recommend doing that because the transparency is nice as well. And you still get that desktop presence with the branding. So the mobile applications right now, the iPhone, we're working on rebuilding the upload agent to account for the latest iOS updates. So we delayed the release to our partners for that. And we do have to submit it as SOS Online Backup. So we will be listed as a developer behind it, even though it'll be generically branded. The Droid will be as Managed Online Backup, which is our other DBA. So going back to the software. Okay, so now I select what would be my staging machine, but for now I'm just going to use Virtual Drive F as my backup staging machine location. Now, this is very familiar to all of you who have run image-based backups before, and historically you would use a weekly backup strategy, and you would have somebody in your office, usually not qualified, managing all of these incrementals and full backups, switching out tapes, labeling tapes or drives, whatever it is. It's a very bulky way of going about it. It's a very dangerous way of going about it because of the additional human involvement. So you want to automate things. So what we do is we have this beautiful continuous incremental technology where you run a full backup maybe once a quarter, once a year, and then you do continuous incrementals thereafter. The reason you couldn't do this previously was because you would have to recover sequentially the full and then each single incremental separately until you got to the incremental you'd like to do. Well, today, and I'll show you the recovery method, you just simply select the incremental you'd like to go to, and then you can recover to that point, and it automatically connects the chain. So this usability means that offsite backup for images is now a hugely viable option. So you'd spend, maybe the first, you get the first image backup off-site, and then on a daily basis, you could put the incrementals off-site. Right now, we're setting our incrementals to run every hour. So that gives us an RPO of 60 minutes, and that's it. So you could limit that or change it, whatever it is. But this is the recommended way of going about it nowadays. So we have next, compression. So standard compression typically gets your images about 50% compressed. And then the password, you could encrypt it if you like. Really, it should be avoided. HIPAA compliance does require encryption locally. But if you don't have that, and it's not necessary, it's always good because when we use ImageStream to take the image off-site, it is going to encrypt the data, as our online backup services do, at 256-bit AES before transfer as well. So encrypting encrypted data can take some time, so you'll see a bit of a slowdown if you are encrypting at this stage. We have different commands you can run, so pre-snapshot, post-snapshot, post-backup. So for the most part, SQL and Exchange, we are running transactionally consistent backups. So a transactionally consistent backup varies from a crash-consistent backup, and then a transactionally consistent backup will negotiate with the databases that are running and say, hey, finish everything you're working on and don't start anything new until I can take a snapshot. A crash-consistent backup will happen right in the middle of transactions, and you'll lose some information. For example, let's say that Milko is going to buy a MiG fighter from Scott, and he's going to buy it for $1 million. So the transaction is two steps. Take $1 million out of Milko's account and put $1 million into Scott's account. Okay? So a crash-consistent backup could possibly happen in the seconds between those two steps. That means no one has $1 million. It's left one account but hasn't entered another. Big problem. Bad for business. Hope Milko still gets the MiG. And then the transactionally consistent backup would say, hey, database, you got anything going on right now? database comes back and says, no, we're finishing up, and then we'll pause for you. Our system takes a snapshot, and then it continues. And that all happens in a matter of seconds. So it's not going to stop your databases or your servers for very long. But of course, there's always proprietary databases out there that are still used, and not all of them allow us to do that. So if you wanted to or needed to pause a certain database or stop something or restart something, we have some pre-snapshot, post-snapshot, and post-backup commands that you can run. So if you want to script out anything, go ahead and you can do it here. I also have the ability to split image files. Not very common for what we would need to do at this point. Splitting images, that's exactly what it is. Instead of having one 500 gig file, you'd have 50 10 gig files. So it just depends what you want to do with it. Usually that was used for limitations in media storage. So I know we're going over a little bit. I'm going to give out the Kindle code in just a moment, and then we'll just line up for questions thereafter. So next, summary of what's going on. We hit finish, and now it's scheduled to run a backup. Let's go back to the wizard and see what it looks like to restore. So I go next. I browse to my backup destination, and I see it's listed as backup job 15, and then the incrementals listed next to it. So I'll just pick backup job 15. Gives me a little summary of what this backup job is all about. Then it says, hey, we recognize some incrementals on this one. Which one do you want to recover to? I say, well, let's just go to incremental 8. I hit next. This is great. We're going to recover this to a virtual drive that hasn't yet been created. What would you like to name this virtual drive? Sure, let's do a virtual drive Z. And you can mount it as a backup or mount it as a read-only backup. So, for instance, if you plan on using this as a new backup destination, then that's great. But if you're going to start working from this area, then you would uncheck this read-only box. Hit next gives us the file chain. So again, that intelligent file chain recovery. Hit finish, and now it's going to pull us into the virtual drive Z that we just created. So being that it's an Exchange server, I'm going to open up my Exchange granular recovery to show the power we have over Exchange. So here's the EGR wizard. So first I would select the source. So okay, where's that Exchange database that we just recovered? So I go to my Exchange drive Z, I open up Exchange, open up mailbox database, and I finally get to my EDB file, Exchange database. Open that. It's going to automatically assume the log file path. You can change that if for whatever reason that's not correct. And then the temporary file path. Is it okay? It's going to load this up. I got one quick question. Can you stage to a NAS? You can certainly stage to a NAS, but NAS is just storage, right? And the point of the staging machine is we want to avoid taking up the computing resources. So we want to not be running these large backups off-site from production environments. So the idea is that you have a workstation that's just loaded up with a bunch of RAM and hard drive space that you would use as a dedicated box to run backups. And you could also use it to mount, virtual drives or virtual machines of your backups if you needed to too. So essentially getting a backup server in place. But again, doesn't necessitate a server OS. So we have our source data here. We have two options to recover. We can recover to a PST, which is more of a digital discovery, electronic discovery type of service. So things like, hey, we need to prove intellectual property, and we need to collect all the email from this company so we can do that. You need to export all of your company's email data to a PST that we can then evaluate. So you say, okay, let's target the PST, and then you export that way. More commonly, though, you go to open a live Exchange server. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to connect all the mailboxes on this server, and it's going to verify and authenticate based on my current Windows login. Say, okay, great. Now it's going to come up here. Now let's say, okay, well, user 1 just came to me and they said they deleted an email and they need to get to it, and it has some attachment about management in it, and that's what we need to find. So, okay, great. So we open this up, and let's say, let's search. So I can search for the entire database or just that user. I can search through keywords, so it said management. And attachment file names, message body, sure, why not? Let's do it all. We'll go ahead and find now, and these things come up. So let's say, okay, let's open this one up. Check the attachment. This is a call center supervisor guide. No, that's not the right one. We'll open up this one, and we'll open up the attachment management guide. Perfect, that's the one. So we take it. We open up the user one inbox. We take it and we drag and drop right into his inbox, and he's recovered. No problem. Or we could shift select a couple of these and drag and drop them. No problem. We could even save this report if we just need to save a report of what we've been looking at. You can do this for calendar items, anything. So if I open this up, I could go to contacts, calendar items, junk mail, any of these items here in the just drag and drop recovery. I can pull and drag and drop an entire mailbox, or I could pull the source data and just say, I'm just going to migrate the whole server to this new thing, and that's it. And it's that simple, and it'll automatically actually ask you, hey, we recognize usernames here that aren't already live. Do you want us to create those for you? Perfect. Create it. Saves you another step. Okay, so that was the quick, brief demo of what we have going on here with Server Save and an image stream, which is familiar to our file and folder backup. It's just specifically designed to handle large file backups. So I could select my drives here, then I could schedule. Run as a Windows service, send me an email report, etc. If I go to restore, same thing, I can restore to a specific point in my backup set by this calendar date. I actually prefer to go through the wizard or the classic view because it's a little bigger, gives you more detail. I'll refresh the data, and on my left, it's going to show me all the machine names that we've backed up data from, and then on the right, it'll show me the actual data that's here. The drop down from the different version, and I could say, okay, recover this or don't recover that. All right, so the Kindle code for today is K3109D. So K3109D, and I'll enter that in the chat. K3109D. So call into our partner specialists and give them your contact information, and they'll be able to give you a run through the different programs. They'll give you a really thorough ROI. So you want to make sure that if you're coming into our program, you're going to be making some money. Everyone loves doing good work, but we work in an economy where money is part of getting through it. So we want to make sure that you're making money, because if you don't, then we don't. So we're going to make sure that you're properly placed in a program that's appropriate for your business clientele, who you're targeting, and what you could possibly do. So they're going to run you through all the potential options of how to position this, who you can position it to, and make sure that you're going to be successful in making money in it. Giving them your contact information also enters in the Kindle code will enter you into the Kindle drawing, which we'll announce early in the middle of next week. So go ahead and call in and talk to your partner specialist there. Any other questions on the service or the product? Scott asked, do you have a call number in Australia? This number doesn't work for you from Australia. Should be international. We also have our local number. If you call in 310 878-2626. And extension 1 will get you to our sales team. Or you could just email sales@sosonlinebackup.com, and they'll reach out to you. All right, any questions about the service? Did we cover enough of what you wanted to see in today's program? Again, with the addition of ServerSave, we've been going really hard into offering an end-to-end solution. So rather than having to go to multiple vendors to get a good online backup, a good image-based backup, now you can come to SOS and get all of it. And our partner program, we really feel is the strongest in the market, and from the feedback we get from our partners, it's quite validated, largely in part to the attention and the effort we have behind it. So the whole point of this ServerSave program was to give our partners the ability to disrupt the existing marketplace as far as this type of backup is concerned, give a better service at a much lower cost than you can get it anywhere else. The email confirmation, yes, it's sales@sosonlinebackup.com. Thank you, Ken. Ken's actually one of our partners, and this is not his first time through one of our webinars, so we can see that we keep him coming back. So Ken, we appreciate you and all your feedback. Milko asks, is there no way to sign up online? Do I have to call in? You gotta call in to register the Kindle code, because we need to make sure we got a contact for you. But if you email sales@SOS, and you can request a scheduled time to be called by somebody about the partner program. But this program really is pretty hot. We've seen out of the 600 or 700 bars that we have today, we've signed up about 300 new ones and converted from our old program just since launching this program in November. So this has really been a hot ticket item. This is really covering all your bases. All right, well, thank you, Milko, so much. Milko says, good presentation, smiley face. Love the emoticons, keep them coming. All right, everybody, well, I think that pretty much sums it up for us today, so I appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you out there in the market. Again, my name is Derek Wood, the Partner Products Manager here at SOS, and if you do want to catch a session with Ken Shaw, our CEO, he will be on next Thursday at the same time, same place. So thank you all, and looking forward to it.